Wasn't it like The
And then,
Illusionist or something?
yeah, something like I can't remember who wrote it.
Oh,
And something screws up, and so it's the guy running the sort of transfer point. A cute girl gets sent, and something screws up, so her body doesn't get destroyed right away, and they fall in love.
of course. There is a Paul Rudd Netflix show based on a similar idea about this like clinic you go into to get rejuvenated, and what they're actually doing is they're just cloning you, and then they're dumping the body of the old you.
Oh, cool.
But they make a mistake, and so there end up being two Paul Rudds. The old
Not a
version.
bad thing.
So many
And,
people.
right. Well, one of them, the new version is like successful and good looking, and the original one is like lazy and dumpy. So now you've got like two versions of Paul Rudd. You know,
There's a couple.
And you're a host.
it's funny. It was good. It got dark. It was weird.
There were a couple good sci-fi things. I think one of them was an anime about a guy cloning himself.
Okay.
And then the clones cloning themselves, and it was like videotapes. They had what do you call it? Generation loss.
Like,
Yeah.
And
Oh,
so the clones of the clones of the clones,
I'm trying
clones of the clones of the clones were like
No, it's right in front of me. I still have a laser pointer.
not very good.
that's
You
the
know, like-
plot of Multiplicity.
Okay.
Have you seen Multiplicity? It's Michael Keaton, and he clones himself, and then that clone makes a clone, and then that clone makes
Oh
a
yeah,
clone.
right. Yeah,
And
And your
each one
quest is
dumber
freaking
than
out.
the
The
last.
software?
right. And yes.
Maybe I should leave it on.
You got 6 Michael Keatons, and yeah, it's good. And I haven't seen that in a long time.
So is there a
haven't
way
seen-
to
I saw
tell?
that movie when I was a kid, but I haven't
I'll
seen it.
quit. Come
I
back.
know.
what's going
I
on.
gotta watch it again.
Okay. Yeah,
So
it's
is
probably
there a
their
way to
software.
tell who all's here? Like a list of everybody who's here?
Let's see, if you go into the event, yeah, so click on your menu, go to events, and go to
It's man.
info,
His hand back.
the info button, and then you should
It-
see, God, it's so hard to find, but okay, there's an info button, then you see a listing on a big wide thing, and then there's a bunch of little icons underneath it. And no, I don't think it actually, it just says, I've got Matt S. Martin, Ian, and +4. So,
Well, Jim Russell said he was going to try. Jim Russell was going to try to come in, and I'm wondering if I have to call him because he's
who's
never
your
done it before.
+4?
Yeah.
You can also look at your friend list. I mean, if all of us only meet here, then if it's on your friend list, they're in this room.
Yeah, no, he hasn't ever done this before, so I want to make sure he's going to get here.
Oh,
So I might
Well,
go offline
and-
for a second and phone
Sure.
in.
yeah. All right. You can leave your body here.
Yeah,
We'll
I,
take
mean,
care of it.
I remember last month, Robbie Halverson did that, and like, Robbie, are you there? He's like,
Right.
I could hear like
Robbie-
really far away. I'm getting some
He
food.
died in real life, but his avatar stayed at the meeting,
Yeah.
so everyone.
Oh,
Hey, for
still
you're quiet.
alive.
Are you talking?
No, I can't click on
That's
it.
terrible.
Oh,
So
that's
sad.
Of course you can't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be back.
All right.
So I'm a construct.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh no, Scott's gone. We lost Scott.
I'm back, I think.
There we go. I think if you're
I think
not-
I'm still a host. You should still be a host.
Hilarious.
Yeah. There you
I mean,
go.
that's-
What's up?
That's awful.
What's
Yeah,
up,
pointer?
everybody? What's up? Yeah. Sorry.
I'm gonna take I'm gonna do a photo. I'm gonna take like a weekend at Bernie's.
That's pretty good.
Now, if only I knew how to ever see that photo again.
How do you even take? I mean, did you take a photo? Oh yeah, you can.
I
Take a
did,
photo.
but I think you can only take selfies. So whatever you want to take a picture of, you have to be in the picture, unless
Oh,
there's another way to do
Okay,
it.
I just took a selfie. I had no idea.
Right. So you have to like turn around and then.
You just aim your controller.
I mean, can you
At
just take
yourself?
a screenshot of what you're looking at?
I don't know.
Yeah, but how?
Yeah. Nope.
Well, what headset are you using?
I'm on a quest.
I took a picture of my back of my hand in front of my face.
Button instead.
Hit the menu button?
So again, you only
You know,
see.
when you close the app, there's a bunch of buttons, and one of them is take a photo.
Oh yeah, an Oculus. You can take a photo. What's that?
You just see a slide
I
there.
just saw that button.
Yeah, yours is doing the same thing.
Yeah, it's doing the same thing, but all you see is turning to Cosmotic glass.
That's not my hand.
Yep.
Weird. This is not.
Yeah,
this
that's
is
super
real
weird.
frustrating.
Yeah.
Oh well. Sweet.
And you use the live pound sign URL.
Yeah, that's it.
Huh.
I plugged it in today and everything.
So essentially, you use the live URL, but you see the presentation, the speaker view, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's weird.
And I can't log out of this console for whatever reason.
Ooh, my video crashed.
Ooh, hey Scott.
Hey,
You
what
back?
did I look like while I was gone?
I can show you if I can figure out how to get in.
Oh, you're gone.
He disappeared.
Can you hear me?
Oh, the volume was still down.
Is he okay?
Hey.
You
He's
okay,
just showing
buddy?
me what he looks like when he's gone.
Okay. Man, they really ought to put a confirmation on that leave the room button.
Yeah.
I keep hitting the home thing and I'm gonna try and find there's my gallery. I wonder if I can send you a photo. Yeah.
Where'd you see gallery?
It's under me in the menu.
Oh.
What can I do with this photo? How do I send it to?
I think it might show up on your web client. You go to on your PC.
Where is it at?
Like if you go to like Alt space and log into the
Oh.
web on your PC. I don't know what else you can do with it.
Well,
I
I
think you
can
hang
see
it up
him.
in your own personal.
Yeah, I can see him in here. I just want to send it to. I took a picture of Scott while he was sleeping in the. He left his body temporarily, and
Yeah.
this is a great weekend at Bernie's photo, and I can't even share it. Maybe if I try to message you, and let me attach a photo. Let's see.
Who do we have
Nope.
here? Electrical? Scott, of course.
Can't do that. Oh well. There's Scott.
Whatever.
Well, I know what I'll do. I'll stick my phone up inside the headset. Lens. And text me.
Do it.
Okay. Oh, it's a little blurry. Yeah.
Patrick, can you hear me?
I can hear somebody talking to Patrick.
So if you click the photo icon,
Mm-hmm.
and then that's like to take a selfie, right?
Yeah.
And if you click the photo icon on that one,
Wait.
there's 3 icons across the bottom. There's like a take a picture of like a stack of Polaroids. And if you click
I only
that
get the
stack
one.
of, so if you click the stack of Polaroids one, it pops up a web browser type thing, and it shows my alt space photos.
Man, are you on a PC?
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, I'm
Well-
on Oculus Link, so technically it's a Rift, but
Okay, yeah, I'm on the Quest. When I hit the camera, it's just the camera and the 3, 2, 1. There's no other icons.
But if you go
They
to
must
your
just have-
settings,
they just must
Put 'em
have a
in.
more advanced GUI on the PC side.
Yeah, I just keep taking pictures of me pointing at the camera icon.
And like I also have the ability to change the camera from a selfie to just a regular camera.
Right, I can't
Oh
do
yeah,
that.
turn off the phone.
I could duck. Wait, no, that wouldn't work.
So yeah, then
So
if I switch it from selfie to regular, then I can just look around and whatever's in front of me, I can take a picture of. And it's got like a zoom in, zoom out.
are we
So it's like-
broadcasting on Twitch yet? We get people like preview the thing.
So I'm guessing though that if you go to the Altspace website and log in with your same account you use on your Quest, all your photos are there. Because that's what it looks like
probably.
from the PC side. It's just showing the UI for that.
Oh, I see.
All right, I'll try and do that. I'm on the IGDA account. I'm not sure I even logged in on my computer before.
Don't forget the space at the end of the password.
Oh, that's right, Jack.
Nobody's gonna hack that.
Not unhackable.
Ends in a space.
I'm hearing echo in my voice. I think it's Matt Summers.
I blamed him
It
earlier.
must be the desktop app because I'm on headphones. I don't know where the sound would be coming from.
Everybody points in shame. Just kidding. It's just sort of funny. No.
I was hearing myself a minute ago.
Oh, there's all my photos.
But again, I had some people ask me
Stand by,
about
Matt.
Twitch feed.
Shit.
Can I answer about the Twitch
Schaefer,
feed? How do they
you're
access
hiding
that?
it.
Oh yeah, twitch.tv/IGDATC.
Is it broadcasting now, or is it going to start later?
Yep.
Should
So
be-
we see me, you, and the side of Patrick's head from this
Oh.
red robot.
Sorry, I got
So you should see something now. Have people ask.
Yeah.
me.
Yep.
All right. You should see.
You got
So what was the
spectators are
user
going
again?
up.
Is
IGDA.
IGDA
IGDA. Yeah. TC.
spelled out or TC?
TC.
Hyphen? Sorry.
Nope.
Oh.
Is Scott? Scott, are you
It's working.
2910 or 0502?
I'm 2910. You talking about phones?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I have a friend saying yeah. Oh, Chris. Yeah. Okay. No, I got someone else actually. That was pretty awesome. Thank you, Chris.
What did you just text me? Me sleeping?
Yeah. I had to log in to the website to grab these off the computer.
Yeah, bud.
But it worked.
Which
Turn my
website?
headphone.
Alt space.
Oh, weird.
VR.
So my buddy Jim's going to try to hook up, 2D with a PC, but it's a PC.
Yeah. Here.
I was going to test it for him to see how it worked, and I
All
don't
right.
have a PC.
Put my hands
that's
back
running
on.
Windows 10.
Oh. Yeah.
So, but he does. He's got 2 or 3 of them that are running 10, so he should be good.
You time to get a mic?
Things are only going to start about this 7
Remember
o'clock.
the last time we can hear you.
7.
Last time, it
What's
wasn't
on
a
it?
problem with my mic, it was a problem with I couldn't actually select anything. So I had muted myself during the meeting, but I couldn't unmute myself.
So, not to jinx
So,
us, but our presenter was just complaining that he couldn't select things.
Well,
It'll be fine. It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
Scott, you have SideQuest installed on your Quest?
I think that's because he's on
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
You can't select your
Yeah.
So then after that,
You made something cool that I want
Really?
to download?
And so
I can select you.
Yeah, I get it.
Watch this.
But I can't put you because you're on Zoom.
Working on some things.
Oh, that way, right. One direction.
Why do you ask?
come back in.
Well, because I was gonna say, if you got a side.
Here, I got a
got
message.
SideQuest on your
Yeah,
Quest.
I'm just supposed to know who you are.
I might send you a build at some point.
All right, 1
and say,
second.
hey, what do you think?
I would love that. The 2 things that I've side quest are Marty and Zach.
I'm in, he said.
Shane's
All right.
thing from the what do you call it? The game jam.
Yeah, okay.
And I've been playing the noodle one. I've been playing Zax, and I'm terrible at it. So Marty or somebody recommended, I can't remember what it's called now. This app that's on the Apple apps, the new Apple apps thing that you can like play on the Apple TV.
Apple Arcade.
Apple Arcade, thank you very much.
Yeah.
And there's this really kind of cool thing that's very MC Escher-esque that I've just started trying to play. I wound up buying it. I wound up buying a
Manifest something?
Manifest.
Manifold Garden.
Manifold Garden.
Manifold Garden.
Manifold Destiny?
So I wound up buying
What were you saying?
PS4 controller
Selected by.
to sort
Okay.
of play
Oh,
that
nice.
and
So like,
others.
Got about 10 minutes though.
I've been playing.
No rush.
and I can't click.
I go
again 'cause
I
it
go
goes
airplane
big. There's
flying
like
with
the
Lemke,
collider ends
And,
on the stage. My cursor can't get
and
past it
I'm
on
just
the
awful
stage.
at it. And so I've been trying to practice on a simulator.
Yeah, so and he may not have been a host.
My
of
airplane
school,
has
but
this sort of stuff.
I'm here to entertain.
privilege.
And he
Yeah.
had me try to fly one of his
No,
things
he's
the other
got,
day. and I
Ian's got this
was
awesome
one
thing
that he
going
was
on. I
sort
was
of
gonna ask you, so,
gonna take apart
you
anyway,
see
and his
his
wife and I
interview,
just
and we
crashing
saw the
it
live
over
view,
and
he's
over
using the
again.
live URL.
It's
awesome.
it's the
Oh,
Because
you know,
I don't know, because
serious radio control flying is kind of
there's like
Right.
it's that whole mirror image
Yeah.
thing. You know, you go out a
Playing
little
your
ways and turn
slideshow
around and
and
come
stuff.
back,
Like,
and you're all
so
sort of
when
Yeah.
okay now.
I
Up
don't
and
know.
down.
How I know.
Right.
Like, you
So,
try to match out and
he does
go
a
to
lot of the
different
stuff where
areas,
he's
so-
got one of these on.
Well,
Not that that's very helpful.
where he could see a camera that's mounted.
Can
on
anyone
it.
hear me?
So that helps.
Yeah, you're loud.
It's crazy.
But it's a
Yeah,
lot of fun.
everybody's like-
It's really fun. He's been doing it since I think he was a little kid, and he's like really
Yeah,
good.
Michael,
He makes his own
you
plane.
just run into your microphone.
And, a buddy
He looks like
guy
he's saying what we're saying back to us.
flies with him now and then every fly.
Copy with me.
It's just near his.
His leg looks like
Had a E38, a thing that looks just like
Yeah, I
a
don't know.
P38.
That's
It's like a
Wow.
four
I'm
foot
not sure I saw that.
wide
forever,
wingspan.
Okay.
but
My
I know-
plane is
I think
like
I remember
18
like,
inches wide or
getting into
something like
presenter
that. And most of
year,
Scott's
I
are
remember
maybe
seeing how I did it,
maybe
how I
2
did
feet
it.
wide.
And I
This thing
think
is
it was
just
sounds similar.
enormous, and he'd never flown it before.
Yeah,
and
it
looked
It does sound
you know,
fancy.
we'd spent a
Well,
year.
the thing
Here's another tidbit of information.
Picked it. His son.
Is that I'm logged in.
His son
I
went running and
stupidly
threw
logged in here. Like
into the air, you know, with the motor.
hit unlog. Like
And
it
it
auto
just
logged
flew
in.
like a dream.
Really nice.
It was
Good
just
feature.
great. It was like
I think it could be a
Wow.
quest.
Ellie Johnson knew what he was doing.
Glitch.
The
That
guy
was
that
cool.
you know
Maybe
invented
it's
the Lockheed.
cookies or something.
I mean,
Okay, wait. So
invented
you're
the
saying that in his
E38.
class he sees presenter view up here?
Hey
And
guys,
so
Yeah.
That's correct.
Oh,
didn't mean to
That's
create
awesome.
like a
Yeah, that I've
conversation.
never had.
But I also
I
didn't
thought
realize
that
I
was
was
like
muted
a
to be like,
desktop
oh hey, I'm
browser.
over
So,
here.
yeah, I've never had that.
Oh, there you go.
It's weird.
So,
That's a
okay,
cool
man,
thing.
We've been friends for 4 weeks. Who are you?
Huh. Well, good thing you're the
I'm Brock.
presenter.
You give
Oh,
me
hi, Brock. How you doing?
GDA events before, yeah. I know you.
Well,
Yeah.
how would I know? How would I know you're Brock? Besides your
It's
voice,
all Escher-esque at this point. How would you know I'm Brock?
it says nano seed over your head.
That's the LLC that I'm trying to create.
Check emails, check.
There you go. I'm really bad at handles, and so Lemke was saying the other day, it's everybody's got these handles that they've had since they were 18, you know, that they thought they were cute when they were 16. My nephews were, you know, I remember had real cute handles, and they still have emails you could use to email them, but they've tried to abandon them.
The shorter the handle, the older the person. So if you got a short one, like, oh man, you're old. I'm like, well,
Yeah.
doesn't mean it.
That's a good tip.
Kind of
So make it long.
BBSs.
I need to go make a long handle.
Well, that's what people are doing in Twitter now. You know, it's like Ryan Schaefer's got.
This many minutes, actually, oh no, I can't do.
I remember this from last time. Is there a clock somewhere?
Yeah, in your menu system. Yeah, right,
Right down there. There it is. I have this
Or that,
vague
yeah.
memory that there was like one on a building or something. But not in here.
Hey, in defense of long handles, I just witnessed a Snarky Puppy
Tiny Desk NPR concert where a gentleman was playing a Hohner clav with this gigantic metal bar hooked up to the whole. I honestly don't even understand exactly how that works, but it was a gigantic handle, a really long handle that he was able to like pitch bend in this crazy way, like it sounded kind of like a slide guitar, but on a clav keyboard with the funk of the 70s. This huge bending bar. I was like, I've never seen that in my life. Thank you, NPR and Snarky Puppy. Thank you for showing me that was a thing that exists. But what the hell is this gigantic, like 3-foot long, big metal handle to bend a keyboard? Whoa! I only mentioned that because we were talking about long handles.
No, that makes sense. Okay, so this is I don't understand this now, and it's going to have Patrick explain it to me, but he just disappeared.
I'm
There
here.
he's back.
I'm here.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah.
I'm here.
Okay, so I pointed
What's up,
Mike.
what's up, what's up?
So I pointed Mike, and it says Mike, and it says halftone digital under him.
Yeah.
What's the
I'm so
halftone
frustrated.
digital?
Clicking
The
the keyboard yesterday
Well,
that I plugged a
it
USB
must be a
keyboard in
handle.
inside of my Quest.
Well,
Oh,
what's the mic?
but that fired up here.
name?
I mean,
You have
Bluetooth
a
makes sense,
USB
but
keyboard?
yeah,
Wow.
just regular
That's a really good
Microsoft
question.
keyboard and a
I don't even
USB-C
know what's
adapter.
actually hovering.
Whereas if I
in
point
that
to
way.
Martin, because he's my friend, it says friends for 5 weeks.
It should have been Bluetooth. That wasn't charged.
Right.
So,
What
USB.
yeah. Okay.
Is there a mirror monitor I can pull up from?
Yeah.
Last time I was here, I learned to be promiscuous.
You won't be able to see mine, but on your main menu in the upper left is that little web thing,
People I'm not sure who are.
Ah,
and that'll bring up something that only you can see. So it doesn't matter if
Oh.
it block the
you
audience a
did
little bit.
show me that last time. I just forgot.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Who knows what it'll do? So you probably want to test it.
Yeah, I do. Jeez.
Good times.
Not quite there. You know, everything doesn't quite. Well, you know, we're just starting off. But you know, dealing with emerging technologies is what we're about.
Yeah, it's kind of clear that they focus on socializing, not on presenting.
Yeah.
I shared the group admin user maintenance thing with you, right? The 2-line tall text box on the web page. They paste in a bunch of stuff. Yeah, people are showing up. Awesome. It's working. Or do you want to aim the Twitch bot at the audience?
Am I still
Or do it.
echoing, Zach?
No. What'd you do?
I just switched over to my Rift S.
So there's something about what the
I thought I
Link.
heard.
Link-
there we go.
link
I thought
audio?
I heard echoes of like Zach on you, like coming from.
Yeah.
you, but not anymore.
Yep.
Yeah, that was just Link, so I just
Why
plugged
though?
in my Rift S. No idea.
Yeah.
Technically, it should be the same because it's just
Yeah.
whatever.
Well, at least this one doesn't take inputs, so I can't advance the slides with
Oh, is that what that
an
is?
accident gesture.
And then you don't have to turn around and feel anxious and just look forward.
Yeah.
Think it'll last longer?
Oh, I like this. So guess what? I do see the presentation settings.
Do you? Yeah. Well, it's like, seems like it saved the cookie and won't let go.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to look into that because that's kind of annoying.
Oh.
Just don't
I have-
don't have anybody sign into their slides.com and it shouldn't have this problem. I think that's really what it is. I even tried the command line going user under users / log out, whatever it was, and it didn't seem to work. Didn't let it go. Either way, this will work.
Who's looking forward to the next gen of interface? This guy.
Nice.
Well, you got about 7 o'clock. People are kind of drifting in.
On PC, supposedly this supports all kinds of weird input. You can use like leap motion and perception neuron.
Really?
Hey, does it work with the hand tracking in the Quest?
No,
That'd be
not
pretty
yet,
cool.
as far as I know. That'd be cool
I
though.
think we tried that last month.
Oh, okay.
I had a officially release an app on the store usable.
Probably not. 'Cause
What?
It's not officially released yet.
In preview.
In beta.
I suppose.
Something about hand tracking makes me think an outside camera would make the best sense for hand tracking application. Does that make sense to anybody else based on your experiences? Like where you lose tracking when you tilt your hands in certain ways.
Yep.
You lose tracking it's because of occlusion, of course. Does anybody else think that would be like, if you're going to use the application of hand tracking,
Have you seen the
it would be best
Facebook
benefited-
Labs?
It would be best benefited by having an outside camera besides the inside-out tracking cameras.
Have you seen the Oculus Labs hand tracking tech?
But lately, I was a little out of the
It was all OptiTrack, so they're using all external cameras when they were testing it initially.
Yeah, to train the data set or whatever for the
Yep.
learning algorithm.
Wicked.
Where did you get that? That sounds really interesting.
It's on the Oculus website under the dev section. They have like a little thing that they did a little behind the scenes on the hand tracking. Also,
Yeah,
probably one of the talks from OC6.
Yeah. Yeah. All the talks from last year are still online, and the hand tracking, there's 2 of them. Those are very, very good. Pretty accessible. I'm gonna kick off here. Where's our resident nudist IGD HCI avatar? You getting any messages from anybody?
Yeah, a few. I've invited them in.
Yeah, I heard from Giannis, and then he disappeared.
Well, Scott hung himself again.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
He's still blinking though. It's creepy.
Well, I can kick us off here as we're waiting for people to trickle in. So, is everybody able to hear me pretty well? We got the megaphone thing going on, I think. No.
Yeah,
Megaphone.
How about this? How about this?
Now I can.
All right.
Omni
Yeah,
voice.
so I'll just start. Y'all saw the invite and the second email as you got here, so most of you saw it. They added a whole slew of features that were kind of critical for doing this. Within 2 days before or after our last event, so they weren't there then, and they're here now. And there's actual support for answering questions, but the trick is figuring out which questions to ask. So this actually went very smoothly compared to last month. And I feel better because I attended an Altspace event on Wednesday or Thursday, hosted by the Windows MR DevRel team. Anybody go to that one? It was kind of focused on essentially spatial computing add-ons for web browsers, and then what that means for things like HoloLens and the Windows MR/VR headsets. Well, first off, so nobody went, and nobody's going to tell the organizers what I say, right? We're not recording this and putting it on the internet, but just made me feel a little better. This is a little bit of a tricky learning curve in here to do presentations. They chose to go with a recorded video, just so they didn't have to deal with slides and things, but there's limitations there, I guess, if people join the room in the middle of a video stream on mobile headsets, it sounds like. And then to try to expedite things partway through the event, they opened the room to the public so people could get in easily. And then the little kids showed up and started zooming around as fast as they could because they're hard to click then and it's hard to ban them. And that was a larger event, probably like 40 or 50 people, which worked great. Actually, the sound and everything else was really good. But the little kids zooming around took a while to get banned because that's one of the skills in spatial interface is if you're real nimble, you're hard to catch. And the list interface in here kind of breaks down as you have to page through and look for things. So yeah, it's kind of early days on the presentation side, but I think scaling and the sound tech seem to be really, really good. And they also started with a different room layout. We used this last time. You guys probably all think there's like one room in Altspace, but there's a bunch of choices. This is just kind of the best for presenting, I think. They chose one that was like a flat floor, sort of like, when you go to a concert at at Skateville, and you just got the flat deck and then the stage. And that was super good for mingling. And then the presentation started, and then a couple minutes in, the developer put code on the screen, which you can't read from a distance. So everybody teleported to the front and blocked each other's view. So having the staggered seats, incline seats is nice for some things. That actually reminds me, so how many people, just raise your hand or something if you're on a Quest or Oculus Go? I should ask those separately. So yeah, a good half the people on Quest. How many Oculus Go's? Any Oculus Go? Cool. Yeah, and I don't know too much about performance on Go, but one of the things, if the projector screen behind me is looking kind of pixely, at least on the Quest, you can up the super sampling in your settings. I can walk you through that real quick. So if you go to this crazy triangle, alt space menu, and then go to the settings and display, the very last choice under display is in-world render scale, and it's safe to go to 1.6. And if you go higher than that, your app will crash, and then you'll have to rejoin the room. But if you want to give that a try if you're having trouble reading text, it'll lower the frame rate a little bit. But since we're not actually moving around very much, it still feels real comfortable to have a lower frame rate. Yeah, it helps.
Hey, Zach,
Yeah,
if you can actually go to 1.8.
don't listen to him, guys. Yeah. Yes, Patrick discovered last month. You can go to 1.8. You're guaranteed to crash, but when you come back in, you should be fine.
I'm still
No, and I haven't crashed yet.
Okay.
Pushing it to the limits.
Yeah, stream. And if you do a lot of motion, you know, that's gonna lean heavily on the in-headset hardware to interpolate stuff. And if you're sensitive, you might start feeling sick to your tummy. But only if you're walking around and moving a whole bunch, or there's things very close to you. So, and yeah, and on that regard too, I also checked out the flying mode that everybody said we should have flying, and that makes you sick in about 3 seconds. So we're not doing that.
It makes you sick, Zach.
That's true. The other thing we're not going to do tonight, but possibly we'll do it afterwards. But there's now that we have what they call a group, we get a permanent hangout that you can just show up at any time. You have to activate another beta feature called Worlds, and maybe we can try that after the meeting. So that's kind of a neat thing. So that'll probably be our long-term lobby, and then we'll just have the actual event space. We won't have to muss around too much in between. Currently, though, there's not a good integration to Eventbrite. Literally, you export your attendee list from Eventbrite as a CSV, chop it down to one column of email addresses, and then paste it into a web page in a text box that's 3 lines tall. That's the current interface. But just having the features available, I think is pretty awesome. So yeah, and then normally we do plugs. It's not yet easy to share the video screen here, but if anybody has a verbal plug, I think Patrick did, right? I'm going to give you the megaphone if I can figure out how.
There, how about this?
Oh yeah, go hold it in front of his face. Oh.
Oh no.
Oh wait, I think I have it. Oh, physics.
I don't even know if you can pick it up. Is it allowed?
You can't pick it up?
I got it. I'll see
You
guys
can,
later.
it's
Out of
just-
here. I gotta
it's
make
just
my-
janky.
I'm gonna go.
This is so awesome.
Stop moving.
Hold
I'd
still.
like to plug my new product. It's New Physics for All Space.
How about I just give him the
Face those when
megaphone?
you're talking.
I'm done with the mic. I'm just going to look like this.
All right.
So I have a previous client who sent me a cryptic email asking if I know anybody who is a
Oops.
Cut out.
Just went quiet.
Wait, you.
Censored.
Hey. Oh, you can hear me now. Cool.
Is it working?
Yeah, it's. I don't know. Is it working?
Yeah.
I hear you.
You're very.
Yeah. All right. Go. Hurry before break.
There.
The way
Okay, now-
I can't hear you.
Uh,
He's not talking or
so there
moving.
we go.
Is it a mic or a sock?
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, good enough. So I have a client that I've done some work for before, and she sent me an email asking if I know anybody who has is a machine learning specialist. So I didn't ask for any more context, but I said I would reach out and see if anybody wants to take a bite on it, and I'll forward you her information. Carlos, yes. I don't know. Oh no, like AI programming. I'm guessing. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, okay. All right. Maybe. No, that's just a floating hand.
I don't know anything about machine learning.
Okay.
No problem.
All right. Well, if anybody thinks of something or is interested, then send me a message to this account with your email address, and I'll just email you from my actual other real life person self.
And who are you in the nudist avatar there?
I'm Patrick Sweeney, Puzzle Fox. I think most
Great.
of you guys know me because I'm music pretty loud. That's me in this garb tonight. That's it.
Cool. Anybody else want to announce anything or have any random questions or thoughts? All right. Well, then I'm going to turn over the stage to Ian. And since we can't clap, let's all do emojis and don't crash anything.
All right, cool. Sweet. Can everybody hear me? I think I have the option for mega speaker. What is it called? Yes.
Megaphone.
Amplify my voice.
We're good.
All right. Good. All right. That's all I wanted to see. Here. Okay. So let's just start up. Let me just tell you right now, I'm on a Quest, and I have a computer right over here to advance my slides. So it's not exactly completely slick. So if you see my hand go all limpy, it's because I am advancing a slide. Oh my goodness, my computer went to sleep. All right. Okay, we're good. Okay,
And
so
as
let's
we're
just get this
going,
going.
Do you want us to interrupt
All
you
right.
with questions, or do you want us to wait for
Oh, I definitely think you could interrupt me with questions. This is not that formal, of a presentation. So, but oh, it's interesting. Half my slide is cut off. Oh no.
We're good here.
It looks good to us, I think.
Looks good here.
I know, but I can't see it.
Oh.
I just have to go like this. All right, that's fine. There we go. All right, let's just start it off. I mean, it's really weird. We have a weird little glitch, but that's okay. I'll be looking up a little bit. I'll just wear it on my forehead. Okay, nonetheless, hi, I am Ian Davis. Welcome to this weird presentation. And this presentation is really intended for people who are game developers, who are interested in what it's like to be an absolute solo game developer with like very minimal help. Actually, as soon as I said that, I realized that people did help me. I'm very thankful for that. But basically, just myself, and no publisher or anybody like that. So I'll tell you about myself briefly, and then I'll dive into the two apps that I made: Cosmotic Mission, the Blast, Oculus platform, and some sort of the realities of being a solo independent developer. So first off, like I said, I am Ian Davis. I started a company called Theta Res. If anybody knows Theta, that means angle. The logo is at a 1 degree angle slope, and that has to do with angle resolution in games, this kind of a thing, in VR. So I have 20 years of programming and art, 3D art experience. I probably would say I have 10 of each. I don't have 20 in programming and 20 in 3D art, but very lucky to have that experience and then apply it to VR. Like I said before, I made 2 games. The first game I made was called The Cosmotic Mission, which is you can read this, but a single-player level-based virtual reality game made for the Oculus Rift. The objective is to travel around the cosmos to collect powerful energy from crystals of a mysterious origin. And then my second game, which I currently working on, is Cosmotic Blast, which was sort of in the same universe. This is an asteroid game, an immersive experience that you've never seen before. Stand amongst swirling clusters of asteroids in space as you pilot a ship. Blast and destroy waves after waves of asteroids and collect the powerful cosmotic energy embedded in the rocks. Okay, really, honestly, that's the last time I'll be just reading you a slide. It's not that kind of presentation. So I just want to tell you my story, how I got here, maybe learn a thing or two. Okay, so here is my story. I'm the old man PR guy. I don't know where I got this from, just kidding. Hopefully, I can't tell you right now if this is a super success story or is this a tragedy, but I'll try to make it somewhat of a comedy. So are you ready? That's what you guys look like to me. All right, so real briefly, in the beginning, I just want to give a shout out to teachers. I had a teacher when I was in 7th grade, Dennis Samala, who gave me access to a Cray account for 7 or 10 minutes of processing. So I would upload images via a modem and hand-coded text files of vectors and polygons to render it like with a crude, super shiny materials. But they would do reflections, which was unbelievable. And that was when I said, I need to be an engineer. I mean, I thought this technology was cool. I liked the science behind it. I liked the math. And that's what really started me to become an engineer. But there's a twist. At the same time, a few years later, two very pivotal media experiences came in, Myst and Toy Story, and I just fell in love with the graphics. I fell in love with applying this cool technology into sort of an artistic manner. And so I went to University of Wisconsin Stout, which I shout out to Stout. Right now they actually do have, as we all know, a game development program. And but of course back then they did not have a program for that. I was actually just a graphic designer. With I graduated with a multimedia designer kind of a career. And of course, at the same period of time, I was fighting robots and whatnot and the Matrix. But really, what I was doing as a multimedia designer was fighting tables, because web development was basically nested tables upon nested tables. But anyhow, moving on. It's the jokes for the people who paid. Okay, so moving through the 2000s, I was a web developer and a 3D visualizer in an agency until I think it was actually Mac Summers, and we really saw the Oculus launched DK1, and I knew I had to do something with that. I had to apply both of my disciplines into a career. So that's really what started it all. And of course, this image has nothing to do with it. I don't even know if you can see it, but I just thought it was cool. So
we can see it.
Okay, cool. All right. So then I dove into VR. Hold on a second. That's interesting. This froze. Huh. All right.
I can't see this slide. Can you guys see the slide?
I can see the slide fine.
Oh, man. Holding your
This is cool.
1.8. That's why you can't see it.
It's 1.8. That's what it is.
1.8.
Uh-oh.
All right.
Okay. So, all right. So first application I wanted to make had a few. All right. I'm just gonna have to do like this. I had some requirements. I really love RC planes. I love space. I love models and miniature things. And of course, as I mentioned, missed the puzzle aspect of that. And this was early days too, where locomotion was basically a requirement to appease people's VR sickness. And really there wasn't much room scale. So I wanted room scale or sitting. And if you know me, I don't really like words or spelling, so I just really wanted to dodge that bullet. And I thought broaden my potential by having no words or language, which is one of those design constraints. So one of the first things I did was did a crowdsourcing project on Kickstarter. And one of the reasons why I did that is sort of an example of a twist in the technology. I bought this pretty expensive iMac 5K computer, and then of course Oculus from the DK2 to the Rift that no more support for Macs, which is probably a blessing because I think the graphic card in the Mac was pretty awful. But still, nonetheless, I had to buy a min-spec PC. So I launched a $11,000 Kickstarter for the min-spec computer, which is just what that means is just you get the minimum specs and hardware and software. So like the lowest graphic card, the lowest processor, an i5, stuff like that. So if you hit those benchmarks, your game would be good. And of course, you have to account for all the backer gifts and the Kickstarter costs as well. And if you ever saw my Kickstarter, I made a series of videos highlighting all the different aspects of the project. I guess at the time, I thought one of the hurdles was going to be that people wouldn't know or trust that I could do all these different roles. And because of my history with an agency where you just wear a lot of hats, I thought, well, I know, I had this long beard, I'll cut it off, make all these different roles, and then I can kind of prove that at least I'm aware of these different challenges I'm going to face when I start my first project. Anyhow, it did launch. It did get successfully funded. It launched, the Kickstarter kicked off on April 18th, and the deadline was a month later. It had 66 backers, about 101% funded. And as you see, it just got on just a little bit over 11,000. So then, I don't know if anybody remembers this. I do, but the Oculus Quest, Oculus Start program also kicked off right about the same amount of time. And they had this really cool thing where they would literally give you away $10,000 for small independent developers, unless you have a Kickstarter. So I was like, yeah, I got this $10,000. And they're like, oh, you can have $10,000, but unless you already got $10,000. And while that's, I don't know, I don't regret doing it, but it was a lot of work doing a Kickstarter. I mean, I had all those videos, all those fulfillment things and requirements and just the duration of the actual crowdsourcing itself. So, moving on. This was my first game. I'll just kind of go through it fairly quick. But the timeline was I funded it on May 17th. A year later, a little less actually, I met my requirements by getting early access, which is about a third of the levels and most functionality. And then another year later, I finished all the boards and kind of put a gold stamp on it, and it's on the store today on the Oculus Store. I had a great time making this. One of the fun things about VR for me was new, and clearly we're still dealing with this, is UI. I came from a world of web development, and that period of time, like I don't know if you remember, it's still kind of true, but everything was parallax, right? So everything had to be like multiple layers of things sliding by. Well, in VR, you can actually have different layers. So all these little panels are actually made up of panels. So, they're just a layer upon layer. Oh, no. Can you guys see that?
Yep.
User interface menu, it says.
Oh, okay. So I just see black. Okay, that's great. Okay. Well, I can't point to anything, but yeah, basically it's, there's a lot of layers and it's fun. And it's kind of make it like a ship where you imagine like in a ship there are all these panels out. My take on that, and actually I still think this is even true with like Beat Saber and even my current game, Cosmotic Blast, is that it was almost too much out at once, and it's hard to guide the user through a process, especially if they're new. So nonetheless, this game was like PBR, and you can tell because of the nice graphics. I mean, it was a dark game, so I get all the complaints that people can't really see the game, but when you're in it, it feels good. It feels like space. And I just give a shout out to Chris Group, who helped me in the UI design. And another thing I want to just highlight the functionality of this game. If you've ever played it, which you should, its basic game is you're in a drone, you launch from that ship, you go out, and you collect energy by proximity. Did I skip a slide? Sure did. Oh yeah, so like here, like look at this. So the cosmetic word comes from cosmos and cosmotic, right? So it's a little bit too much to handle, but the idea is that osmosis between the capturing of energy, and then just right now trying to explain to you is probably one of the faults of this game. Like you get close to it, but it transfers to you. But if you're near another one, it transfers to another one, right? So it's kind of this weird like flow of energy. So it's a puzzle. So it's a combination of you flying around and navigating in a three-dimensional space while trying to avoid asteroids and whatever that would hit you and knock loose this energy. And then you navigate back. So it's fun for people who like to fly RC planes, who like puzzles, and like space. So I hit all the marks. I don't think it was very successful. Well, it wasn't. The good thing is it has, I learned about, real-time modeling, did a few fun trophy projects where I used photogrammetry. Actually, one of my more popular videos is the bobblehead video, where I walk through the process of scanning a funded, a backer wanted me to put this bobblehead inside the game. So I scanned it, and then I reduced the geometry, and then I rigged it up with springs and brought it in. So that's the whole video there. Of course, PBR, which isn't actually used that much in VR games, which is too bad. I know it's heavy, but things in PBR in VR look gorgeous. I mean, I just love it. But it's super big overhead, and I could get away with it because I basically have one tiny screen at a time. Of course, I made a transition to C# in this project, from PHP, MySQL, and HTML and JavaScript. But that was, no programming is programming. And of course, things like the changing VR, like when I started this program, this application, there was no touch controllers, and I just was going to rely on the Xbox controller. But since then, of course, the touch is so good that I, ditched the controller and went with the touch. So there's a whole new API. There's the Avatar API. So it was constantly dealing with their kind of poorly written bugs integration program plugins at first. If anybody's done that, it's a nightmare. But I did get to learn about game production, so I went through the whole thing. So I really honestly believe that everybody should go through the process from design, concepts, production, to finalizing a game and bringing it to market. Even if it's not necessarily financially good, it is a sweet and awesome process. The bad is, I think it was someone in this audience, I won't name names, so it says, so you collect energy, you collect crystal energy, and that's it. And it's like, kind of. I mean, it wasn't really received well. But I did do user testing, a lot of it. I'd bring it around. I even went to a company called Z Systems, and I demoed my game. But what I failed to realize is the excitement for the technology with this new technology did not necessarily mean there's an excitement for my game. They're like, oh, this is really cool. I'm in space, really neat, right? But then in reality is like, well, you get a choice between my game, the Cosmotic Mission, and Beat Saber. It's like Beat Saber. It's like, really easy and get it and pick it up. So that was a good learn to try to But I think people are getting over that too. That the excitement for the technology is waning, and the actual content itself is becoming more important. I mean, and I bet the experience of framing questions about trying to draw out the quality of your product is something I learned. And I also learned that after putting early access, merging it to full release, I didn't get that boost that you get when it didn't show up as new release. And, so I was hoping it'd be a big, like a little bubble, but it really wasn't much. And I don't know if anybody knows or studies storytelling. The Cosmotic mission was a simple game told in a complex way, which is actually really a big negative. If you have a simple game and it's simply done and people are going to enjoy it and consume it. But my game was a pretty simple concept, kind of got it done with a little bit too much to overcome as far as new controlling methods. This wasn't first person. This wasn't a lightsaber cutting blocks, right? And I had poor sales, but really it was okay. I mean, I really thought of this as kind of like my breakout game, my thesis, if you will, into the doctorate of game development. I learned a lot. I learned actually a ton. I probably forgot 2/3 of it, and I still feel like I learned a lot. So I'm okay with that. So I knew, though, I had to turn around and take that quote-unquote failure. I mean, it wasn't, still some max sales. I was pretty proud of that. And pretty good reviews. The people who do kind of figure out, like, oh, I do like to control things from a third person and figure out buttons and such. And I really do like some of the dark levels that have no lights and you're only guiding around with a headlamp. Really do enjoy that. But I did want to translate this and analyze what the shortcomings of this game into a new project. So I knew that I wanted to make a genre that was a little bit more marketable, right? So space puzzle genre versus arcade. So I really can't laugh. So I decided to go with arcade, and then I also want to have better curve appeal. I'm not saying that my screenshots right now are super bright, but at least there's lasers and bullets and missiles, right? That's a little bit, oh yeah, okay, that looks like fun, right? And then of course I needed an audience. I had zero, and basically even after my first game, I still didn't have much. So I decided to be bold and go forth and give the game away for free and have in-app purchases driven by an ad campaign, hopefully to generate more and more an audience. Design, like I said, arcade. I went back to the root of my gaming, and I think this is the beginning of VR gaming. So I thought of asteroids, specifically if you've ever played Maelstrom, like Missile Command and Breakout or Brickle, or there's a whole bunch of them. And I really wanted it on the Oculus Quest. I love my Quest. It's portable, light. So right off the beginning, I knew that I needed to keep this light. So, and one other thing, especially dealing with people at the University of Wisconsin Stout, they asked me like, so how long did you spend on the first game? And I had the calendar dates, but I didn't really know how many hours because I to generate money, I also did freelance work. So I made sure I kept track of my time so I could treat it like a business, so I can see how much was it worth. So there, like this is the same slide as before, but this was a lot flashier graphics, a lot bolder of a feel, and it has a nice bloom, which kind of to me the inspiration is from like Tron and the old glow of kind of bad CRT monitors. And this game is going to be a blast, right? You're going to have a blast, blasting this blast from the past. So the timeline of this app was May 9th, 29th, which as you figured out is like the day after the launch of my the Cosmotic mission. And what is it, about a few days after the launch of the Quest. So I had the Quest in my hand, and I just got done with that first app. I dove into it, and less than a year later, I launched it full release on the Oculus Store. And then and in about a week, I'll launch it on Steam, which is going to be really big. The numbers on Steam are actually quite impressive. As promised, I did have a campaign called It's 2020. Now, in hindsight, probably no one knew what 2020 was going to be like, but in the beginning of it, it was really exciting. Like 2020 is the future, right? So I made this kind of, I made a lot of graphics and content, but one of them was a bumper video that was placed on a few different social media sites. So I'll play it to you. This is the 15-second bumper. Here I go. It's, it might be a little loud. Maybe I'll turn it down a little bit. But you don't really get the idea. So it's supposed to be, eye-catching and quick for the short attention span. So.
It's 2020. Shouldn't you be shooting asteroids with your ship in VR for free? Cosmotic Blast!
There you go. Real quick, to the point, and, and I'll share you some of the stats of this campaign. I'm a newbie at marketing, but I did really enjoy the process, and I did have varying differences in the 3 that I tried. But so here are the ad stats. So Reddit, all of them I spent like $100 or $200 each. Reddit, I had a huge amount of impressions, but as you see, relatively low clicks. What is it, 0.123% click through, but I got a lot of exposure. And actually, I think I have evidence that a lot of traffic came from Reddit. So even though the clicks itself were pretty low, a lot like the impressions was really key, and it really worked out really well. Google, I had, if you do Google, that they have the salesperson like come in and be an administrator and set some settings for me. And yes, I was a lot more focused. I only had 5,500 impressions, but the views were really fairly good. And 30 or 40% of people viewed it, like watched the whole thing, and fairly cheap. How you bid on these things, and it's all like, well, I'll bid this, and so 3 cents a CPV. So that was pretty good. Facebook was even more so. I mean, Facebook knows if you have the Oculus. So they're like, I want to target people who have Oculus and this. And like, I got 87 reaches, right? 97 impressions. But still, nonetheless, it was pretty much directly to a download. So do I have to click on this? Whatever. Yeah, so sales, these are downloads on a free game. I'm really pleased to reach 4,500 downloads. I'm really pleased about the percentage of our active users, 3.1 thousand, right? Though I'm disappointed on the average time, which is 11 minutes. And actually funny, on the days that I'm developing, that number drops, but that's because I go in for 2 seconds and jump out. Like I figured out a way to isolate those stats. And I got 3.25. It's actually down almost a one star from like last time we met. But the sales were not good. The conversion to in-app purchases and donations were not good. I would share you those numbers, but I'm not going to.
What are the in-app purchases?
What are the in-app purchases? Oh, that's a good question. I'm sorry. I don't have my head on. I'm actually looking at my screen, so I can't see you. What are the in-app purchases? Well, so basically, I constructed a thing to have you take your ship and you level it up as you unlock different abilities. Like I said, you start off with a fairly slow bullets, then you unlock and like faster bullets, faster ship, longer duration of bullets, more cannons, more whatever, et cetera, et cetera. And you can always have that progress, but you always have to start over in the beginning, level 1, the first wave. But if you purchase a $2.99 upgrade, I call it, continue upgrade, you can continue. Like, let's say you just done and want to stop and jump back in, you'll be where you were. And I thought it would be enough. I also had donations, and I'll talk to you a little bit more about some other things I did. So that was initially what I did, so $2.99 for continue upgrade. So basically kind of like brought it out of a demo into a full game. So I'll talk a little bit more about that. I have some thoughts on that. And here's one of the most popular, this isn't that huge popular. You see it says it's affected or helped 6 people. And it was a really nice review, I thought. But he did hit some points that I try to address, is that there's a lull in a challenge. You start rocking it, and it's kind of boring. You know, and honestly, the first Asteroid game was kind of boring, right? I mean, that's why I like Maelstrom, because at least there was a decent amount of enemies and such. So I pivoted, not pivoted, but I introduced a set of enemies and complications, I call them, to react to that, and it seemed to help. And also another one thing that you know, as an arrogant developer, you think, oh, I know what the user wants. I want the, you know, there's 2 things on the screen I wanted to talk about. There's 2 things that I got feedback. They're like, no, I really want to do this. And so I just enabled it and let them do it on their own. For instance, the one is toggle perspective setting. People always wanted to fly inside the ship, you know, in first person, I'm sorry. And, you know, that is just like 3-directional movement around asteroids, up, down, right, left, side. It kind of breaks all rules as far as locomotion in order for preventing VR sickness. But people wanted it. And honestly, one of the reasons why I did that was I was starting to play games like War Dust and Onward, where you use a lot of locomotion. And indeed, you just start getting used to VR movement, and you do build up a tolerance. People who want to have that experience, or you can do that experience, and I enable them. Oh, sure enough, I said, you know, caution intent, you know, but it's disabled at first, so you know, people don't accidentally get thrown around in space without the kind of the promise of when they bought it be a kind of a moderately intense game. But it did change the game, and actually kind of was a good idea. I mean, I once in a while do like to get in the ship and fly around. It changes everything, but that's fun. You know, have a brand new experience. The other one is up on the bottom of the first direction setting is snap rotate 90 degrees while unpaused. Well, in my game, it's kind of fun because you're standing in third person inside these swirling asteroids, right? So I decided like to penalize people from from hitting the asteroids, because one of the deals with asteroids is you want to keep the big asteroids together. You don't want them spread apart. So if your hands and head had a physical collision in them, then you'd have to walk around and avoid all the targets. But because of that, in order for people to rotate, if they're sitting down, if they only have one camera, they don't have you know, the space to have full control of the space, they would snap turn. That would send your hands like 90 degrees over, and therefore we'd smack into things, and it's very upsetting. It's unintentional results to a behavior. So what I did was, my solution was, well, you could only turn if it was paused. So then you could, you know, pause the game, turn, make sure your hands are out of the asteroids, and then continue. But people didn't like that. They're like, that's dumb. That's like 3 steps for a thing that should be really quick. So I'm like, all right, here, click on that button, and you can snap turn anytime you want. And it ends up being, you know, not terrible. Once in a while, you do snap turn into a big asteroid of blocks, and it sends them flying, but that's okay. It's kind of fun too. Another thing I did was give them more content and more fun ways to play. Later update, I think it was like 1.2 or something, I introduced a whole bunch of variety of different ships that do different things. Like, so, and this was going to be an in-app purchase. It actually is an in-app purchase. But of course, my integrity is that you should always be able to achieve these items on your own if you just you play it a lot. So either you play it a lot or you can pay, right? So all of them are kind of fun. Either they have recoil, they spin, or whatever, based on how many cannons you get. And it adds just another element to the game, and it kind of extends the value of it. like for instance, it's the far, what would it be? Oh, it's the same for you and me. The far right one actually is wobbly cannons. So they wobble when you shoot, which it sounds like a really bad idea. And actually, it is a bad idea technically. You wouldn't really want that. But it's a challenge and it's really fun, especially if you get all 7 cannons going with full auto and super fast bullets or rockets. It's just like a perfect cone, not perfect cone, like a wave of bullets, and it's super awesome. Yeah. Okay, so the Cosmotic coin was my donation. I thought, you know what, I'll put it out there, and people who want to support an independent game developer would donate. And I called it Cosmotic coin as my tip jar, especially since like Clash of Clans and such, we're always have this coin system. I thought it was kind of funny that to introduce them as these coins actually don't do anything other than just the developer. No one did this. Like, no one did that. So like, okay, I'll just call it donate. If you want to donate some money to the app, you can do that too. No one donated. So that's it. I'm just getting rid of it. Like, I don't think people donate in games. I I have once or twice, but I don't think I hit enough downloads. I think probably if I had 200,000 downloads, maybe 1% those people would donate, but it wasn't enough to clutter the user interface and make it something else to maintain. I thought, in my opinion, the good of this game it's truly a fun game, and because it's locomotion and standing or sitting, you can play it for hours, and I think it's sort of relaxing almost. There's a profile system that I enabled right away that allows you and your family that each have their own. You can name them. Like myself, I have one. My wife has one. My kids have a different one. And they all can track their own progress through upgrading different, through the upgrade path, right? And then the upgrading system, actually that wasn't initially designed. I thought everybody would have everything at first. And then of course I was like, duh, why would I want to give everybody everything at first? It gets really boring really quick. So at least this gives a way to upgrade things. And now everything is upgradable. Like the user interface is upgradable, but really minor. And then there's of course nostalgic, for me at least, to shoot asteroids and flying around in space, and a lot of the elements like rockets behave like the missile command rockets. They leave behind an object that collides. It's just a lot of fun. It's super light, super small. It has a really good soundtrack from a local techno artist named Brian Benting. I should have put his last name in there. Thank you, Brian Benting. The shader graphs, this is kind of on a technical side. To make a game that runs on the Quest, you need a custom shader. So unlike PBR, I knew that I just have one point light, which is called the gravity well, which we cast all the light, and all the other light is a lookup to either the texture file or the environment. So super, super light. There's technically no lights or shadows in there. I mean, I guess you could say that point light is a light, but it's not. It's just a lookup to where it is. And I really started diving into the state and the event manager, which everybody needs to do if you're designing a game, is probably even start with a good event manager. Like, what are the phases of your game? And then I rely on the invoke, an action, and then the toggles and enum. And enum is just like a list of integers with a human readable name on it, like playing, pause, so people can look up. Sound was a really big deal. I had a lot of fun making the sounds. Bought a few, but made most. Obviously, all the voice acting is done by me. There's 215 sound clips, which doesn't sound like a lot, but that took me forever. So I made a sound manager, once again, using enum. All the sounds are in one class, or no, I should say game object. And then why I say enum is like in the program, you can say, hey, give me the bullet sound, and it would give you a bullet, or give me a random bullet sound. And one of the reasons why there's 215 is there's like 3 or 4 of almost everything. So there's variety. Git flow, gotta use git flow. I used git in the first one, but basically it's like a save, like, oh, check it in, check it in. This time I used GitFlow, which the advantage of that is that you really focus your efforts. Like right now I am working on this, and because I've checked out a feature. I have checked out this feature, I'm working on this, I see something, I'll write it down and come back to it. But that really helps you from avoiding some of the rabbit hole effects. Nested prefabs are awesome. I'll get into a VR manager, and object pooler, again, it's super important. It's basically the idea is that I have all your presets, all your main objects already loaded in, and all you're doing is enabling and disabling them. And actually, this particular object loader has a spawn and despawn function that I would call up. And then in the tutorial, which is a thing that I learned on my first game, is that you have to teach the user how to play it. I used a series of start coroutines that did each step of the slideshow, so to speak. So if I wanted to just test one part of the tutorial, I would just comment everything but the one particular step of the tutorial, and so I can just go in, jump, test that one thing, go out, uncomment the other things, and it was really a slick way. So because the tutorial going through it in its entirety every time is 5 minutes each. So the bad is I think the controls are tough. It's actually really difficult to shoot things in VR from third person. Initially, I used the same controls as VR, which is very much like a RC. I'm sorry, initial controls from the drink of water. The Cosmotic mission, which is like RC playing. This is super awkward. This is VR drinking water. That's gross. Okay, good enough. All right, so super hard. Balancing on level 15 got boring. So level balancing, getting the right levels and upgrades to come in the right time. I really worked hard on that. I thought I had a fairly complex view on where the things were, but I think around 15 is a little boring between the fundamental upgrades, like, oh, my bullets go faster, that's good, to the cooler ones like, oh, I have full auto or multiple cannons or lasers. So there's a little bit of a gap there I want to tighten up. And like I said, it's hard to aim. Actually, the hard to aim thing was actually a big complaint to a lot of people. Like in third perspective, and you're trying to shoot something, I put a laser there. That was one of the feedbacks in my alpha to make it so you see that, oh, the laser lines up with the bullet. But then you shoot, and sure enough, because the bullets are kind of slow in this game, it's not like a bullet like out of a gun. It would travel across, and by that time, the block would move, and it would miss. And they're like, how am I missing? The laser is on the block. Well, the laser isn't like compensating for the movement of the blocks. I got a lot of feedback that was negative. But this is one of the reasons why the perspective, flying in perspective, people just got that if you shoot, you're flying inside the ship, the pointer, and you miss, people just got it. Like they're so used to seeing, leading in first person, but not in third. So that was kind of an interesting find. Free was bad. It was free for bad for me. I think I'm almost a 180 on this. Let your users buy your game. Like even if it's a little bit of money, like people don't mind paying a little bit of money for your game. I mean, yeah, I got a huge amount of exposure downloads than I would have before, but now that I have it, I think, for instance, the Steam version isn't going to be for free. You're just going to get all the things downloaded from the beginning. And I'm not a very good PR person. I'm not a very good squeaky wheel. I did probably like a handful of Saturday screenshots. I wish I was better at that. And of course, I should have been on Steam in day one. I thought Steam was a bigger deal. Ever since they got rid of that green light system and you just pay them $100, I should have just done it. And of course, Quest support. The whole time I was talking about, I started from the beginning with the idea that it would be on Quest. I built a shader so it would run on Quest. And, that's a problem. Quest support requires you to do a content review. You submit a 3-page PDF of your concept of the game. And then they tell you all over the documents that you have to do this. And so in May, or I think maybe more like June or something, I submitted my document. And this is before I went for 3, so it was going to be $9.99. And I got back fairly quick, within a week. They're like, oh, sounds really good, but we just cannot do it. Well, why don't you do the Oculus Start program? And so I'm like, oh, okay, I get it. I'm new. Maybe they want to put me in the Oculus Start program. So I did the Oculus Start program. I got into it. And I asked the person right away, hey, do you think I could resubmit? They're like, sure, you could resubmit your content. It'll be fine. So then I did the whole process of development, and then right about launch, I submitted again with the new numbers, new design, and I even had the initial downloads. At the time I had like 2,000 downloads in a week or something. And at this time, the policy and their attitude really kind of shifted. It was like, you're not in. And I even talked to my start person, like, they don't really want an independent person, or especially free, unless you have really good numbers. They want, So, and I know that a lot of you, I'm probably getting ahead of myself, but a lot of you suggested doing the Oculus sideloading, the Quest sideloading. But to get on board with that, it requires the user to become a developer. And I thought the onboarding process was too much. So I pivoted and went to Steam. Talking about the Oculus Start program, it sounds pretty negative, but actually I really like the Oculus Start program. Good email support. You have a question, there's like somebody there to answer your questions. Not the technical stuff, but like the process of submitting and administration. And they gave you access to kits and tools and swag plus. In other words, they gave me a Rift and they gave me a Go, which is pretty huge. Actually, just so it kind of indicate they didn't give me a Quest. So a light bulb should have went off in there. And also the only thing they did was give us Unity Plus, which is I use that today, and there's always been discounts and etc. So hello Steam, goodbye free. That's my new thing. I actually probably within a week request. Cosmotic Blast is going to be $4.99 on the Oculus Store. So if you see this, grab it the free version right now, and $4.99 on Steam. So that's a good transition to. I just went through the process. I have a Oculus OVR, Oculus API SDK game that I'm porting to a Steam. So I'd like just to highlight some of the differences between Oculus platform and the Steam platform. And I think a lot of you know the Steam platform. It's the standard for all games and a lot of different type of content. So I'll just compare it to the Oculus platform to the Steam platform. Both are pretty easy to set up. Actually, as you know, with sideloading your Quest, that you could just, basically, if you have an email, you can get onto their platform. And it's free to set up a game too, as you know, that you can fake that. And I have a friend who has an Oculus Quest that is a developer, so you can set the Quest into developer mode, which is required. One of the advantages of Oculus platform is focus on VR. So like all your questions and documentation around the idea of VR, so that's somewhat of an advantage. They're really a stickler in their content though. So for instance, even on the Rift, they're really like, if you take it off, they want a certain behavior, load time has to be certain behavior, all these kind of a lot more of a checkboxes. Where the Steam platform is like, if you say you support something and you don't, then you're going to be knocked. That's about it. And the one advantage of the Oculus platform, of course, it is the App Store on the Oculus device. So if you're a newbie, you don't know what you're doing, and if you get your game on the Oculus platform, your game will be the game that's in front of you, right, when you launch it. So that's the advantage over the Steam versus having to jump through minimal amount of loops, but still some loops. The negative, of course, the flip side of that is Steam is so popular that most people just know that they could run their applications through that. So it's kind of splitting hairs there. I think also the Oculus platform is a cleaner administration. administrative tools. Both of them have an onslaught of content creation that you have to produce, right? This size, horizontal, vertical, square, asset. On the left is the requirement for the Oculus platform, and on the right is the Steam. That's all the ones that I share the same, screenshots. Oh, if there's assets missing, of course, most of them suggest heavily to have a video, and of course I do have a video. So if this is a challenge, you're probably not making video games anyhow. I mean, this wasn't hard. Here's the difference. The submission process was very kind of like follow this little these steps. From left to right. Obviously this is my app that I have live. All those green dots on the Oculus side would be red, and then when you finish the task, it goes green. You go to the next one. I actually thought that was pretty easy. In the Steam store, as you know, there's this checklist you get, and also you get this main content written down the middle. And at first, I thought, oh my goodness, this is really confusing. Except for I really like checklists, and going down the checklist was pretty fun for me. I don't know why. I'm like the only person like checking boxes. But it's kind of mirrored though. The content in the middle is actually the same. You can get to the same thing at the same time, or the UI was a little cluttered and kind of felt like an afterthought to the process. So I think but either way, there's basically clear defined steps you have to finish in order to get your game ready for submission. As far as the backend goes, they both have a DRM light, an entitlement check on launch. So when you launch it up, it says, hey, are you launching from the store, or do you have the right to do so? And if not, you quit. And they kind of require that more heavily so on the Oculus store. But, I say light because I think most, decent hackers or whatever could get around that. But nonetheless, it's a pretty good stopgap for people who are casually distributing binary files. The leaderboard, I had a leaderboard on both. I think probably, I'm not saying that they did or not, they mirrored each other's functionality, thank goodness. I mean, basically every option that I had on the Quest was available on the Steam store. So I had all this API for all my app developed around a certain type of, higher is better. And of course, in Steam it's descending, all this stuff was very simple, and even the way they address different tables, with a string set, right? So you just call a string, and you get the right leaderboard. So that was very similar, you see. And one other thing I wanted to show on this slide is that you see there's app grouping. I set it up so instead of having a leaderboard for an app, I made a leaderboard that app share and address. And that's something you can do on the, well, I guess you can probably do that on the Steam. It's a little bit more of a convoluted way to do it. This is very clean. You get like a serial number for each app, and then you address it to this group serial number. And then cloud saving was really simple, very much the same. Basically, it's like a syncing Dropbox for your app. You write in a certain file type. You define how big typically the file types are going to be, and you say where it is. So on your app, you just write files into that, and then when it quits, there's an on destroy. It says, hey, sync these files, and that's cloud saving. It's really easy in both of them. Oh my goodness, I'm running along. Anyhow, I'll move along a little faster. This is the achievements too. Another thing really similar. So if you're used to doing Steam achievements, just plan for the assets on the Quest, Oculus are actually bigger. So you want to start with that in the design constraint first. So you start larger, but then it gets sampled down. So you got to think of I think it's by 4. So I made all my strokes 4 pixels wide. So, there isn't half pixeling, and there's some math, make it look sharp. Again, the same sort of deal. You just define some description and API names and address them. And of course, all these features, you just see the importance of abstraction, not to be too luxury, but this really saved me. I knew that I was probably going to have multiple platforms. Of course, when I started, I thought it was going to be between Rift and the Quest, but actually it was between a test version of a platform, the Oculus, and then the Steam. And I broke down each one. As you can see right here, oh, you can't see. All right. My cursor, you can't see my cursor. But basically, each one of those has an enum that you toggle. So if you want to keep everything the same, but you want to test one thing, you just change it to test. And of course, the test version of that particular script, you could just hard code like, oh no, it's going to fail all the time, or they upgraded to the continue upgrade, whatever. So it was super easy to test and also extend it. So to the last bit, I just really want to talk about the realities of being a independent game developer. Of course, the positive part is you are your own boss. I mean, you complete control over every decision, and you get to do a lot of different jobs, which is one of my favorite things. I really enjoy both the making cool graphics and implementing cool, smart APIs and algorithms and stuff like that. And of course, you get all the profits. The negative, of course, is that it is extremely lonely. I'm working by myself in my studio, and it's just me. There's time management issues. Like you could either work a lot or you don't work at all. Or there's rabbit hole issues, which I think if you're focused on your goals, you can avoid. But rabbit hole, what I mean by that is like, oh, I just want to make a shader, and then all of a sudden you're in the shader graph tutorials for like 4 days, right? So it's a little difficult. One of the things I thought difficult too is all the issues are your issues. Again, I think being involved in a community like this and getting on Slack, it does help, of course. And I thought it was a little bit harder for me to switch hats. Like I'm in modeling mode, I'm art mode. I don't know if that's such a thing, but I'm in ZBrush painting textures or designing icons. It's hard for me to just switch over to doing complex programming. So I would sometimes just like stop, like, okay, I'm done today. Like, and then the next day I am now programmer mode. That seemed to work for me, but an idea validation, like, is this even a good idea? Like sometimes you're like, yeah, no, this is the best idea ever, and until you get in front of actual users, you just think it's the best, and then it really isn't. And of course, you're doing all the work. It's so much work. It's endless. And of course, the likely are there is what money, what profits, So chances are you shouldn't do this. Shouldn't do it solo. I mean, you should definitely make games, maybe not by yourself. But if you're the type of person who is going to take my word not to do it, you probably shouldn't do solo for sure. I mean, you have to have a lot of personal drive and will to want to do this by yourself. You have to be a jack of all trades. You have to have a significant other to pick you up and put the pieces back together, because you will fall apart. You'll have those days that will just drive you nuts. And I had a good friend that came over once in a while, and we call it coding days. He would just code on his app while I did mine, and those were godsend, because it's just so lonely being coding by yourself. And money, of course, I think 1 or 2 years worth of income, or as I did, just do some side gigs. And I'm fortunate enough to have a skill set that I could charge a fairly decent hourly rate to balance the two. And also I would say, don't do a Kickstarter. I don't know. Especially when you're brand new, you have no exposure. Probably your Kickstarter is just going to be funded from your friends and family anyhow. Maybe you could come up with a different creative way of doing that. But I would say 15 days at tops. Don't do 30 days, because basically I should have showed you the graph. It's like you get a little bump in the beginning. There's 3 weeks of nothing, and then you get a bump in the end. you might as well just save yourself a lot of heartache and just have 15 days. And I really would focus on what makes your game special in the Kickstarter. No one really cares about you too much. I mean, obviously, it's important to see the person has skills, but just focus on the game and what makes it special. I think one of the challenges I had with my Kickstarter was when in the beginning there was just such a small market penetration of VR device and users. Like 95% of my backers were just people backing me, and like 5% were actual VR users. So that was, typically a good thing about crowdsourcing is that you get a whole bunch of excited users, but there just weren't that very many users out there. So, and of course, I would say don't give away things that actually cost money. So give away virtual things. I like, and my ship was named by people. I have objects, its trophies inside there that was defined by people. And then, and one more thing, I would just totally like, these are all the people that helped me make this game, and without those people, I would truly not be able to do it. And I'd like to point out too, like most of the people are testing my game on the Quest. So it's really frustrating not to get on the Quest. Like one guy is in the yard playing my game, and I thought that was the coolest thing ever. But don't worry, I'll get it on the Quest. Just give me some time, because I think it's supposed to be in the Quest. It's a casual game. Put it on, kick some ass, and then take it off. And it makes the whole point of continuing it later valuable and whatnot. So the bottom line is, let's make some games together. Group together, get a small group of people with different hats, and make games and bounce off each other ideas and whatnot. So that if I could learn one thing is that I am not making a game by myself again. I'm going to find somebody else to tell me how bad or good my ideas are, and help take some of the load off of my back and making what I really love doing. I love making games, but I need some more help. So for that's the end. Thank you very much for your time. I hope you got something out of it. One more thing. Anyone have a knuckle controller they would like to work with me to map the buttons to the Cosmotic glass? Please contact me. I would really like the help. Basically, that's the last thing I need to do before I get it on Steam. So there you go. Thank you very much. The end. I don't know. That's it. If anybody have questions or anything?
Yeah.
Thank you.
So if you want to ask questions, just start waving your hand wildly, or just speak up, and we're all pretty civilized here. Oh, yeah, go for it.
So I'm always really slow. So it runs on the Rift, not on the Quest.
Yeah, of course. The latest game runs on the Rift because it's easy to port a game from the Quest to the Rift. I mean, actually the thing that the Rift has the Quest doesn't have is Bloom. Bloom is a very expensive post-processing. Besides that, they're identical. So right now it's Rift and soon to be HTTP Vive. And thank you to Zach over there for lending me his HTTP Vive. And I hope to get it, or I need to get it onto the index as well. But so those three. Maybe someday I'll get to the PlayStation VR. I don't think it'd be a big deal to get on that as well. Did you have a question? The last game took only about half a year or a little bit more. The first game almost took 3 years. So it's a big difference because the first game was like 100% learning, and I wasn't as focused. I wouldn't even say I was maybe 50% usability. I mean utilization on it. So I could tell you that it took about 940 hours to make the Cosmotic last. So in that, and I think actually those numbers would come down even more if you were to make another game, because I think the APIs have settled down a little bit too. That was one of the biggest issues, which again, I highly recommend using like GitHub or something to branch out. So like any new feature, like for instance, I just upgraded my game to Unity 2019.3, and I lost 40 frames per second. I don't know what I need to switch, but I didn't have time to debug that, so I just rolled it back. just got rid of that branch, that feature. So I really recommend just using GitHub of some sort. But, to
Hey, Ian, I've got a question on timelines and we'll follow up. What? Sure, go for it.
Sure. Mm. Oh, yeah, all the above. No, I was kidding. No, really, honestly, that was a trouble because sometimes you do get hit, you do get over these roadblocks, and if you don't recognize that you have that, sometimes you just seriously just sit there and hit your head against the wall. And I have found out it's a cliche, but you go out, you go for a walk, you do something out, and you come back, and it's like a beam of light comes through the window, and you're like, oh yes, that's what I need to do. And you solve the problem. So it's definitely valuable to leave the work for a while and get some fresh air and look at that yellow golden ball in the sky and then come back. But again, I also had great support from friends that would come by and just jam, and we could talk about problems and whatnot. So and on Slack there are people too. So it's good to just bounce ideas and help somebody else. I'm actually not that good at that. Be better at that than me. I need to be better at the community, but anyway.
So follow up on the hours stuff. What portion do you think was devoted to like getting through certification and everything on the Oculus store for the Rift? And like what amount was
very little.
Ian, keep the question. Yeah, repeat it, please.
Okay, so the question. That's good. I'm new at presenting, but yeah, of course, the question was how much percentage of that was getting through the approval process. Well, not the quest, because that's sort of like that probably took of time, a week or so, in the 3 times I tried to submit it, to pull together a PDF that looked good with a copy and proofed it. That took about a week of my time. But to get it through the actual store, doing it once really helps. So I did fail. The first time around, and when I took the head piece off, it was still registering the buttons, not the actual input thing, because that's handled by Oculus. The actual sound effects, I used a different trigger. I think it's called the points interface, whatever. So it's still triggering the sounds, and that failed it. So, that was a new thing for me. So, but they got back on that part within like 2 days. But the rest of the part, this isn't my time. It took like the content review took almost a month, like 3 weeks. Of course, that was right through the holiday season. Like you saw it launched in January. So they probably were just slammed, and I think they were slammed. So that's longer than normal. But so about a month of calendar time to get through the process. And I would even say a little bit more because you have to have like promotion and stuff, which of course is a huge undertaking in itself. But yeah.
On the Steam side?
The Steam side? Oh, well, I think actually Steam is very quick. I think their content was, for instance, I just did it. I did it twice. I thought I could just sneak it by. The first time, I sent it over in about 3 days, even though they say with the COVID-19 that would take longer. It got back to me with all the reasons why it failed. And I'll tell you right now what the reason why it failed was, what was it? I had the wrong directory for my cloud savings. And they're like, oh, you put it in the wrong directory. That was a stupid mistake. But they caught it. And the other one is the Vive index controller map didn't match up. So, and then they support it with like, especially with the cloud saving, they're like, hey, you're supposed to go to this directory and you put it that directory. And that was super helpful. I'm like, oh my goodness, I didn't realize that. And I just changed the string in my code, right? I didn't even look it up. I probably could have looked it up somehow, but I just changed string and sent it off, and it was pretty quick. And why I submitted it again with the not addressing the index is I thought like, well, maybe I'll just double check with the HTTP Vive controllers, make sure they work. Maybe there was an error and it was just kind of blocking something. So I just sent it through again. And like, no, you didn't even actually address the binding issue. I'm like, oh yeah, you're right. I didn't. I was just hoping. I don't know, because I don't know. Really, honestly, to be fair, to me is that to fix the problem with the HTC Vive and the index controller is that they have this huge system of binding buttons, and all I had to do is publish the official binding, and then I'll be good to go, which any user will do if they have the index anyhow. So I figured, someone will do that anyhow, but I need to lead the app so it's working at day one, and I should do my due diligence to support the app. So I will do that, but hopefully with someone's help. But yeah, pretty fast. Oh, let me tell you though. Oh, I'm sorry. The first game, you have to wait a month after you pay your $100. That's a huge curveball I wasn't prepared for. So the reason why I can't launch anytime sooner is it hasn't been a month. And it's preventing from people just spamming their store. So it's $100 and a month. So that's something you need to consider. Anybody else? Good?
Yeah.
Oh, no one? Go ahead, Patrick. Yeah, the question was, did I have bad dreams while producing this? Yeah, actually, this whole process is extremely emotional. I think, I had bad dreams. I had bad daydreams while I was making this thing. I mean, this thing is, it's in your mind like 24/7 when you're doing this, especially when it's your own baby and all your bad decisions go into it. So yes, I had bad dreams. But I also had good dreams. I have to tell you a funny story. When I launched the Cosmotic mission, I was so naive. I didn't look at the sales numbers over the weekend because I thought, what is it going to be? Is it going to be like, is it going to be like 3,000? Is it going to be like, 30,000? And I looked on the Monday after launch, it was 0. So, oh my goodness. So it was really disheartening. So that was the launch after early access. So I was like, well, I got to market it. I got to tell people you can't just put it on the store and people see it. You just have, it's old cliche, but you have to be the squeaky wheel about your game over and over again. Here it is. Here's animated GIFs. Here's video. Here's a pre-roller on YouTube, all these awful things. I mean, great things. Great things.
So you can't rely on being a new app to get exposure.
Right, especially if you kind of burn the bridge once, if you do early release. I mean, I did have pretty good sales when it was on the top. Like, hey, look at that! I'm like, sure enough, people download it, especially if it's a new and something shiny. But yeah, so I made sure that I matched the ad campaign when it was going to be new release, so people download it. And honestly, guys, having a good review, putting a review on a game is really helpful. So do that to the games you like. So,
got one Marty over there on your left.
How did you handle multiple platforms, like launching on?
The nitty gritty of it. I have
like in the project.
Yeah. So the project all went to that one little table. I call it VR Manager's awful name. That basically enable, disable different core functions. So I used the Steamworks API. So, and they come with code, but I made sure that it wouldn't execute unless I told it to. So I had an execution order. So if this game was a Steam game, it would go through the entitlement. If it didn't, it wouldn't load. So in the actual player, I would have the Oculus API and then the OpenVR underneath it. And Oculus API does have a cross-platform. It handles all the interactions with the OVR manager and the input manager. So that would all funnel into whether it was Oculus or OpenVR. So it was a new thing. Actually, Oculus has been integrating They don't want to support it. I actually contacted the Oculus Store people like, hey, how do I get this on Steam? They're like, we can't tell you, but I am going to tell you this, right? And they told me a couple of things that really help. For instance, when you submit an app to the Oculus and you have the OpenVR DLLs in there, you can just delete them. You know, just pick them out and then submit them and it'll be fine. But of course, with Steam, they take everything. So you upload it, and Oculus API controls the OpenVR and the OVR manager. So I just developed it for the Oculus Store, and then just included the Steamworks and the OpenVR API on launch for Steam, and that worked pretty well. We'll see. Oh, what's up?
Hey, I was curious how you got to work with. Forgive me, I hope I remember his name. Was it James, the guy who did soundtrack?
Oh, his name was Brian Benting.
Oh, Brian.
Yeah, he is a local techno artist that I happened to went to college with. So I reached out to him, and you know, he's been great. He's super chill. I can give him his contact information. I also did purchase one soundtrack. I extended license because I thought I was going to get. And I did, actually, I did. I'm sorry, I did get thousands. But make sure you adjust your criteria for licensing. But nonetheless, I support local artists first, and this guy probably has 11 or 12 soundtracks in there, which you can toggle with your left control if you want to. But here's a little side bit, real quick. The original concept was each track of the techno song was going to be in a little pod floating around you. So like you have the kick and the bass drum and the hi-hat right floating around you, and utilizing spatial audio. It ended up just not being very good. It just was confusing, and it was like people wanted to shoot little pods. So I ended up just making all the sound come from the drone, which is actually kind of fun, I think. And it helps you know where the drone is because all the music is coming from it. So that's a side note. But Brian Benting, and there's a lot of cool techno synth people out in this neighborhood. So. Oh yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, I'm getting schooled. He said I should put my contact stuff on my last slide, and that's exactly what I should do. I also should have my references, but they're all my game, so that's my game. Yeah, look up thetares.com. Theta as in the angle, and res is resolution.com. I will, I think actually in the actual invite description of this talk, my contact information is on there. Sorry about that. I'll do that next time. Thank you for that. What's up?
Forgive me if I forgot if you mentioned. Is there a release date for Quest? Or
no, there isn't. I think I'm speculating. I think they want my game to be more worthwhile for them in order to get on this thing. I think they want. First of all, my game was free. Second time I pitched them, they're not so excited about free. They want 30%. So and I'm also independent, so I don't have a huge budget for promotion. They want something that's big and sells well. So one thing people have done is they've either sideloaded it and proved to them like, hey, look, my sideloaded app has made 100,000 downloads. It's a hit. When do you include it? Or that's my goal. I'm hoping to get enough sales on the Rift and the Steam to say, hey, look, this game is made for the Quest. It's kind of, I've tweaked it. It's gone through the hurdles of, smoothed out all the problems with the boredom of level 15 or the excluding cosmotic coins that are confusing, and introduced the perspective modes and stuff like that. It's all polished. Now take it in, and it'll be a good addition to your platform. Especially since I don't know if you guys got that email. Like, here's our collection of our cool arcade games. I'm like, my game should be on there because it's a fun arcade game. I really enjoy this asteroid shooter. It's very spatial. I even put the blocks kind of like voxel block that you can see inside of the upgrades, and it's just great to see in VR. So I think it should be on the store. Anything else? Good to go? Oh, okay, what's up? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Okay, that's good to know. Oh, well, thank you. I'll make sure that those match my appearance and match my work. Thank you very much. Yeah. No, I shot that myself. I did the whole video, so I got everything myself. So that's why you want to team up. Like, oh yeah, good pointers right there. Yeah, thank you.
Great
Anybody? Okay. Cool.
Okay, cool.
You're really quiet.
Well,
Megaphone yourself.
yeah, I crashed. I don't know if 1.6 is actually safe on a Quest or not. Maybe 1.5. Thanks for coming, everybody. Awesome talk. Thanks, Ian.
Thank you.
So, well, I would place a wager. We'll be doing this again next month. We won't be back in a building within breathing space of each other. So kind of plan on that. And sure. You want to do that, Ian?
Oh,
You're already on the stage. Can you pull up your big splash screen?
sure. Just give me a second.
Enable stage access here somewhere. That's a good idea. I did, yeah. Thank you. Yeah, we sent that out to
Where
show
do I
off.
see that picture?
From last time.
Yeah.
It's in the Slack, and then we showed it during IGDA.
Oh.
I don't know what.
We can send it out. We can probably send it out to attendees. Yeah, everybody want to hop up here?
What slide would you recommend, sir?
The big, beautiful logo.
Like the intro one, like.
Yeah, the big blue one.
One of the ones with the screen grab on it.
What?
It's too big.
What?
That one works.
That's what. Okay. All right.
Yeah, front and center, Ian.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yes, bye bye.
You are a photographer, I can tell.
Emojis.
What? I can't do them up here.
Cool. Thanks.
Cool, thanks.
All right. Thank you. Oh, I'm excited to figure out what it is.
Yeah, where are we going?
Yeah, so
Red cow.
so as part of this new group feature in Altspace, we get a permanent space they call, I forgot what they call it. Let me see, I'll look at my menu 1 second. Or get my menu in front of my face, which means I have to recenter. There we go. Let's see, setting.
In a timeless tradition of VR, ancient and old, this is what we do. It is tradition.
So,
Portal. The portal open. The claw.
so Altspace has a beta feature they call Worlds, and that is generally meant to mean custom spaces that you like built and imported and everything. And the reason it's beta is probably will make your Quest crash. The ones you can choose by default is just a permanent world, but use a pre-created Altspace account. Well, not an account, a pre-made Altspace environment like this one. So the one that I just picked off the top of my head is similar to the rooftop where you start out your house, but it has a couple other things in it. So there's a little bit of a trick to getting in there because it's a beta feature. Yes, sir? Yes?
Hey, so after going on the stage, I have lost the ability to use my menu. I have no plan. And I got a message from Ryan, which I guess I'll keep forever now here, because I can't dismiss it. It says, "Can you invite me back in?" I don't know which Ryan, but if somebody can invite Ryan back into the room.
All the Ryans? I can do that quick.
Invite all the Ryans.
I had that same problem, and Shane pointed out it might be having to do with the collider on the stage. So if you get off and on the stage, maybe you'll see something different.
Yeah. No, it broke when I was on the stage because I couldn't do the emoji.
Huh.
Up here.
That's neat.
That same thing.
So I think it was
happened to me
probably
last
Ryan
time.
Cost. I sent him an invite.
Yeah, the only
Okay,
way
so
I
going
could
back.
get that out of that was to shut down and restart Altspace when that happened.
Oh, good. Easy. Don't worry, it's really fast. I just crashed and came back in like a minute. But anyway, to get to the worlds, if you go into your Altspace menu and then you go into settings, and under general, you should see the second toggle is enable worlds beta. And that's on the Quest, I guess. I don't know what it looks like on PC. And as soon as you hit that, you'll get a new icon in your menu bar at the bottom called worlds. And if you look there and go to my worlds, there'll be one called MNVR and HCI Commons. You know, it's like a rooftop and a purple. Is anybody?
Yeah,
Sorry,
it's
Zach, can you do that again?
it's the same on it's the
Same.
same on Rift. Yeah.
So, Scott, did you find the toggle to turn on worlds?
I'm sorry, I was trying to hit Ryan up. I missed the whole thing.
No problem.
Yeah, could you
So go,
yeah.
yep, go into your triangle menu, go into settings, and
Gotcha.
under general, the second choice is enable worlds beta. So if you turn that on,
Okay.
you'll get a new button on the bottom menu called worlds.
Bless you.
And if you go to that and
Sorry.
click my world,
Thanks.
you should have a purple thumbnail for enter, MNVR and HCI comment. So probably most of you will see that, and a few of you won't have that.
I got a thing that says Scott's World.
For real?
Yeah, I just got back.
Yeah, last time probably. You go into your triangle.
So
menu,
pay attention.
You go to settings. The second choice is enable worlds beta. You see that?
Yep, got it. Done.
So toggle that on, and then you get the worlds menu. And under my world, there'll be a purple MNVR and HCI comments. And most of you should see that. I think a few of you won't see that. Is that-
This is the thing that says
What if we don't
Scott's
see
World.
it?
I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Wait.
Down there.
Where's the setting again? Just joking. Just joking.
So I
wanna
think
see Paul's world.
people that can move to there should move over there. So if you teleport away, and I'll help the people that aren't there, because I think I gotta enter your email address somewhere, is my guess.
I get the
Don't
world,
forget,
but I
just in
don't
case
have
I help.
that one.
Okay, yeah, so just hang out here for a second. We'll see how many people need to get added to the list. I think that this breaks that, because I was getting a message. Is Robbie still here? So Robbie was having trouble getting in, and to allow him to get in, I had to explicitly add him to our group. So I think this new group thing override following people. Yeah. But I'm
think
happy
that's
to
cool.
add.
And Scott Lemke couldn't get in either, no matter who.
Yeah. Hopefully Robbie's around. I didn't get to hear what error message Robbie was seeing, and if it was the same as Scott's error message or different. I don't know. But that's definitely one of the feedbacks I'm going to give to the Alt Space guy is it's a good feature, but if you decided to go more strict than you already were, that's maybe not great. So does everybody here need help getting to the world?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to get the keyboard. Let's try that. And if you guys don't follow me, I'll come back here. That might be faster. So yeah, portal is a great idea. Let's see here. Menu, world. So everybody can try to click that. Yep, inside somebody else. I think it worked. You're all inside each other. No, not everybody. Marty, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
There's
I'm
two
getting
Martys
some kind of
embedded
tutorial
in
though.
each other. So I think the people that weren't on the list didn't follow. I'm gonna go back for them.
Okay, cool. And wait, where is everyone?
I think the people that weren't on the list didn't follow because you were both Martys were definitely on the list and you're the only ones that made it.
No, but like no one who was on the list is here.
Yeah, I saw a few people outside. You don't see anybody?
Oh yeah, they're way over here. Okay.
Whoever designed this sucks at physical controls. Ugh.
Look at this. Can I get it out of the air? Hey, can you throw that to me? Can I catch it?
Sure.
No way.
Nice catch.
Oh!
Nope.
Oh.
So can we build a custom space, or are we stuck with this one?
I think you can. That's what's exciting about it.
Yeah, we should build a sweet custom space.
Whoa, what's in here?
All right, so thanks for watching the stream, everyone. I thought I would just do a quick like, now it's over kind of a thing. Yeah, so we're gonna be streaming the IGDA meeting on the second Wednesday. So I believe that is the 10th. I think that's the 10th of next month. Not sure. And we'll also be back here for the VR meeting next month. So yeah, tune in then. Everyone wave at the stream because I'm gonna close it down.
Oh, that's what's going on.
Yeah, I'm like talking to myself here, literally. All right, stream's going bye bye.